Warning, this content is for entertainment and educational purposes only. I do not make any warranties to its accuracy, applicability, or completeness. The content is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice. Always seek the advice of a qualified health provider. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of any information presented here. I disclaim all liability to any party for direct, indirect, implied, punitive, special, incidental, or other consequential damages arising directly or indirectly from its use. Hey guys, Paul here today. We are going to talk about PED, steroid / other PED selection for your cycle. I get a lot of guys asking me questions about this. This is what PED to use when. I think people get confused and they just randomly choose shit because they heard some bro at the gym say, Anadrol is awesome, so I should use Anadrol for my cycle. We're going to be more intelligent than that and actually deploy the right tool to get the right job done. Before we talk about that, please take the time to subscribe to my channel. If you like this video, hit that thumbs up button. If you have questions, please put them in the comment section below, and I will do my best to answer each and every one of them and potentially use it in a future Q&A. If you want to get in contact with me, my contact information is in the video description. I am at Paul K. Barnett on Instagram, and you can also email me at bigp3rd@gmail.com. So I think this is a point of confusion. It's like I just said, a lot of dudes just randomly choose shit, and they tell me, hey, what do you think about this cycle? And I'm like, well, what are you trying to accomplish with this? I'm a person who asks why, what first, and I think if you can't answer that question intelligently, then you have no fucking clue what you're doing, and you need to get help. This people are so dumb when it comes to how they build their cycles. They just do what some bro at the gym told them to do, and they have no logic or no reasoning behind it. And I'm going to break down. This is kind of my opinion on what steroids are and what PEDs are best for certain objectives. Some people are going to disagree with me on that, and that's fine. But through my own research and my own experience, these are the ones that I have found to be best to accomplish these certain jobs. Now, when we're building a cycle, I am of the opinion, I've tried nandrolone-only cycles. I've tried doing, single compound cycles, but I am of the opinion, if your objective is bodybuilding, that the most effective way to cycle is to build all cycles with a testosterone base. And in the off season, when we're in a size building phase, I think it's best to use the amount of testosterone you can get away with without using an anti-estrogen. That's my humble opinion. When I'm building a cycle, all cycles start with a testosterone base. That the amount we can is really dependent upon the user's experience, what their tolerance is for testosterone as far as DHT and estrogen conversion, and a host of other factors, body weight, etc. But anyway, we're going to start off with a testosterone base. And I have these broken down into different categories here. We have hypertrophy, bone, joint, and connective tissue health, strength, body composition, nutrient uptake, fat loss, glucocorticoid suppression, estrogen control, blood pressure control, and soft tissue repair. And I have color-coded these too, so you'll see I have things here that are green, orange, and red. Green being the safest of the compound choices. I'm not saying that they're completely without side effects or potential harm, but they are the safest choice out of those potential choices. Orange are ones that you should deploy at times, but shouldn't run year-round. I think the ones that are in green are relatively safe to run with more frequency. The ones that are in orange are ones that you should deploy in phases, but with caution, and take appropriate precautions to minimize the negative effects of those compounds. And then the ones in red are compounds that we should use very limited, on a very, very limited basis if we're trying to accomplish a very specific goal. These are compounds that are known to be very toxic and have a high risk profile. So we save those for when we need them. It's been my experience that most gym bros abuse the compounds that are in the red area, and that's where they get themselves in trouble. And if you want to get huge, you can't stay on that shit forever. The bill's gonna come due at some point. You're gonna have to pay the piper for running Tren year round or running Anadrol year round. It's gonna fuck you up at some point. It's just the way it is, and you're not gonna be able to use gear long enough to get to that massive size level. So for hypertrophy, what we do know is that most anabolic steroids cause muscle protein synthesis at similar rates. So really, you can choose just about anything you want for your hypertrophy compound. But with that said, these are the ones I would keep in my toolbox for hypertrophy. These are the ones that I consider to be reasonably safe for hypertrophy, and we know that compound choice is less important than dose when it comes to hypertrophy. So if you're trying to add size, running, and I'm not condoning this, but I'm just saying studies have shown that running higher doses makes a bigger difference than running harsher compounds. So running a gram of Nandrolone is more effective than running 200 milligrams of Tren, say, or 50 milligrams of Anadrol every day. It just is. Now, we will deploy other compounds strategically depending on goals that we're trying to accomplish. So for hypertrophy purposes, my personal favorite, now everybody has their own, is Nandrolone. I think Nandrolone is the best compound for adding size. It's been my experience that it puts more size on me than anything else. But there are things that you need to consider when you're taking Dandelion. It's mildly neurotoxic, mildly cardiotoxic, and it can cause anxiety in some people. So if you're concerned about those things, you may want to stay away from Dandelion or run it in lower doses. Primobolan, in my opinion, is the safest. Most people would agree with that. The big issue with Primobolan is so much of it is fake. It's hard to find real Primobolan. Boldenon, I do like Boldenon for size, but it was never been approved for human use as far as I know. It was used in humans for a short period of time. It was taken off the market. I don't know if it was I don't think it made it through any kind of FDA approval. And it is known to be kidney toxic, although I have not seen that happen personally in me, but I would limit the use of Boldenon. It also causes anxiety in some people, and it can raise your hematocrit to dangerously high levels. It seems to be the one that most aggressively raises hematocrit in people. Masteron is pretty benign. Anavar, all orals are liver toxic to a certain degree, and crush your lipids to a certain degree as well. Bone and joint health and connective tissue. So if you're having creaky joints, tendonitis, these are things that will help with those. HGH, I have HGH here in the green. People are going to say, well, HGH can have dangers, but it is dose dependent. Most people don't have problems running HGH, 2 to 4 units per day. You're not going to have issues with most people. You're not going to have issues with insulin resistance or other things. HGH also, just so you know, if you have if you have a pre-existing cancer, can accelerate the growth of cancer, from what I understand. Nandrolone is the gold standard really for joint issues. If you're having creaky joints, connective tissue issues, Nandrolone just kind of lubes you up. For strength, the gold standard for strength is Anadrol. Nothing will make you stronger than Anadrol does. I'm not a fan of Anadrol. I don't really think it has much use in bodybuilding. Maybe strategically here and there if you want to bust past plateaus. But Anadrol is the king of strength promotion, and I think people they think Anadrol makes them huge. I think people are mistaking the strength promotion as growth. That is not the case. Anadrol is very liver and toxic and is rough on your lipids. So that's something to keep in mind when you're using Anadrol. I don't think it's that great of a size promoter, but that's just the cost of doing business is just too high. If you want to run high doses of it, which is what we know you need to do to put on size, you're going to have other issues, and you're going to be limited in the amount of time that you can run it. I know a lot of powerlifters use Anadrol for peaking for competitions. Anadrol is something, if you're going to use, it should be very limited, either for peaking for a strength-based competition or just to bust past a plateau. Use it for a few weeks. Halotestin's pretty much has the same effect as Anadrol. But the thing, an added thing that you got to keep in mind with halotestin is it really can have a negative effect on your mental health. People turn into straight up assholes on halotestin. So that's another one. Another one that's great for strength. Trenbolone. I think Anadrol probably is a better choice, but Tren increases aggression, which helps with strength in CNS motivation. Tren. People will debate me on this, but I have a belief that Tren is either directly or indirectly kidney toxic. It has a negative effect on lipids. I've seen over a period of time, although I don't know that that's been documented anywhere, but I've seen it on people's blood work over and over and over again. We definitely know the neurotoxicity and mental health issues that Trenbolone causes. And it also is cardiotoxic. Anybody who's taken Trenbolone, you'll see your pulse go up by like 20 beats per minute when on Trenbolone. For improved body composition, these are things that we're going to deploy at the last parts of contest prep as a bodybuilder that have a positive impact on body composition. And Trenbolone is at the top of that list for me. Nothing makes me look better than Tren, but I don't like using it. I save it for just the end of contest prep. Masteron, we know, is very benign. Anavar, Winstrol, Halotestin, and Proviron are the ones that I have in the column for improved body composition. Now, keep in mind, these are tools that we are just going to deploy at probably the last 6 to 8 weeks of contest prep. Nutrient uptake, things that are going to help us process food more efficiently and put the food in the right places. You're going to have an insulin sensitizer like metformin, and then insulin that is used to push. It's a glucose disposal agent. It's a storage hormone. Insulin, you're going to be pushing all those nutrients into the cells. Not just glucose, but amino acids, etc. Insulin is that. We are going to use this when we are these two when we are pushing food high. Need to optimize insulin sensitivity and nutrient uptake. Sorry. For fat loss, all fat loss people get crazy with the fat burners. And run them year round. I think you're just asking for fucking trouble if you're running this shit year round. You're gonna end up fucking your heart up, and just really messing yourself up. So for fat loss, we have clenbuterol. Clenbuterol can have a negative effect on cardiovascular health. T3, which can affect your thyroid. Caffeine is the most benign of the fat loss tools. Yohimbine, ephedra, and I put Trenbolone in here as well. Some people are going to disagree with me on this one, but I do think Trenbolone it is the only steroid that I believe that has this effect, but Trenbolone seems to be thermogenic in some direct or indirect way. I have and I'm not going to get into it today, but I have a theory that it might be a thermic uncoupler. Anybody who's used Trenbolone knows that your body heat increases and you sweat. You sweat throughout the night. It just seems to have some effect on metabolism. I don't exactly understand the mechanics. Maybe I can get somebody smarter than me to explain that at some point. But I lump Trenbolone here in my fat loss tools. Glucocorticoid suppression. This is something that we're going to use when we're in extreme calorie deficits. Steroids that suppress glucocorticoids, cortisol, to prevent muscle tissue breakdown. The best, the most widely used one is Trenbolone. Tren suppresses glucocorticoids more aggressively than any other compound. I've seen studies that show that Anavar does, but it's not as aggressive as Trenbolone is. But Tren is the gold standard here. Estrogen control. Keep in mind that all aromatase inhibitors, not serums, all aromatase inhibitors have a negative impact on lipids, joint and bone health. And it's from the mechanisms of estrogen suppression. Suppressing estrogen is bad on lipids, joint health, bone, and increases neurotoxicity. So anastrozole, letrozole, exemestane are things that we put in here. In the off season, where we're in size building phases, I try to avoid using aromatase inhibitors if we can do it. I think you're better off running testosterone a little bit lower, maybe pushing the doses up of some of these other anabolics instead of having to deal with an anti-estrogen. Novodex is a SERM, but Novodex has been known to cause clotting issues, so that's something a lot of people don't know about, but just something to keep in mind. Blood pressure control. We want to control blood pressure as part of our protocol. Blood pressure is the single most important thing that you want to manipulate and control if you're taking PEDs. High blood pressure leads to a host of problems that kill bodybuilders. It can contribute to kidney disease. It can contribute to cardiovascular disease. So obviously we want to control those. ACE inhibitors, ARBs, calcium channel blockers are different pathways to accomplish this. ARBs seem to be the most effective for controlling androgen-induced hypertension. So I personally prefer ARBs for this. Soft tissue repair. If you have an injury and you need to recover from an injury, a muscle tear, or something like this, and keep in mind this is not going to help on ligament and ligament tears and tendon tears. Those need surgery. That's the only way you're going to fix those. So soft tissue repair, BPC 157, TB 500 are tools that we can deploy for that. All right, so looking at this list as a whole, the one on here that stands out, that fits in multiple columns, but is very toxic, in my opinion, is Trenbolone. Trenbolone has many, many, many uses, and I think this is why people get tempted into using Trenbolone year-round, because it is a neat and unique PED that does a lot of cool shit. But you pay the price for using it, so keep that in mind. I would, as a bodybuilder, my opinion, I would only use Tren as a contest prep tool. I think you can accomplish all your size gains, everything that you need to do in the off season without using Trenbolone in the off season. It's my personal opinion. So I would save it for contest prep. Once again, the moral of the story is save the harsh stuff for when you need it. Those are the tools that you bring out of the toolbox when you need to bust past a plateau or you're prepping for contest. So I can't stress this enough. Use strong amount of caution when using those tools and save them for when you need them. All right, guys. Hopefully this was helpful. Let me know if you have any questions. Put them in the comment section. Take care.